you.
So, Samson, I was on the cocoa politics. So, cocoa has always been a significant feature in our politics. If you recall, prior to the 2024 election, we had the benefit of engaging cocoa farmers, and we made a direct pitch to the cocoa farmer and said, look, at the time, the global price of cocoa had risen to almost $11,000 per metric ton. We knew that a metric ton comprises 16 bags of cocoa. And so the analysis that we did at that time was that if we're getting $10,000 from 1 metric ton, that put together brings the number to almost $625 per bag. And we said 70% of that could amount to 6,000 at that time that we could offer the Ghanaian if we were in that situation.
Okay.
However,
did you really condition it?
Yes, we were very clear now.
I thought it was a blanket promise.
No, we never. It was never. And in fact, there was an attempt by Miracle and his people to try to, the words of Honorable Atoforsin, and then we played the entire video, which clearly showed that our position is that at that time, if we were in power, we could afford 6,000 Ghana cedis to the cocoa farmer. That was almost 70% of the FOB to the cocoa farmer. The reason why at that time, the government then could do only 30 to 35% to the cocoa farmer was that there was a rollover because the prior time, government had projected that they were going to sell, produce 800,000 metric tons of cocoa. For whatever reason, government couldn't do the entire 800,000. Government only did a little over 400,000, 450,000 or so. So there was an outstanding 333,000 metric tons. That 333,000 became more of a liability because we have already forward sold that and more or less committed ourselves by way of contractual arrangements. So subsequent years, when we needed to benefit from the increase, because of prior liabilities and commitment, we needed to use. So by the time we came to power, that 333,000 metric tons in terms of rollover had come down. This number we found out during the transition arrangement. That's the record.
Okay.
Now, when we came into power, at least until the recent announcement, the prices were fair and there was no issue from cocoa farmers. Now, the argument has been made, and I have heard that argument on even this platform by one of the NPP MPs, Michael Edu, where he makes the point that if the current management of Cocobod, Cocoa Marketing Board, have done forward sale earlier, we wouldn't have gotten the situation where we find. What's the record? Government had projected that we're going to do a bit over 600,000 metric tons of cocoa purchase for the season. However, at the time when we announced these new prices, the record shows that we had done 92% of purchases already. 92%. So they claim that the superior idea would have been, the forward, sale much earlier than the announced price. The record shows that 92% has already been done. That amounted to almost getting to 500,000 metric tons of cocoa. If this is the record, what exactly is the debate? The management of Cocobod and its subsidiary, the Cocoa Marketing Board and others, have been very proactive. In fact, this recent price increase is affecting sales amounting to almost 50,000 metric tons. That is where the debate is. Our friends in the NPP say that President Mahama, the best solution we have for you is that go and borrow public funds. Use taxpayers' money to go and borrow.
Yeah.
and use that borrowed funds to give the cocoa farm.
It looks like you need about some 4 billion. Can't you find that money to do that? That's the point Afenyo also stresses.
Something, there's an interesting conversation. I know where you come from. There's maize glut currently. There's rice glut from Sablugu right to all the glut there. The cocoa farmers are saying that there can be higher prices for them. And so they want government to mop up the glut from the system. Basically, what those farmers are also doing is that they are just on the touchline, waiting for government to go and borrow for cocoa farmers, and then they'll fall into the line. Poultry farmers are complaining that there's a glut with eggs. They are on the touchline waiting. Immediately, government of Ghana goes to borrow for the cocoa farmer. Excellent. The maize farmer will come. The cocoa farmer, there'll
be an opening of the floodgates.
You open the floodgate. The question is, how sustainable is this initiative? I am a proud son of cocoa farmers. And I always say this. I grew up with my granddad in Salifu on the way to Nkwanta. Those days, cocoa husk, that's why we even use the cocoa husk. That's what we usually use for our soap. I don't know if you've had the benefit of using cocoa husk for soap. And that's what we use. Saturday to wash our clothing.
I remember. I remember.
Yes. So I grew up knowing some of these things with my granddad, who was then the ARS pastor in those days in the Nkwanta South. Cocoa is what I have lived. So I will be happy today to see cocoa farmers giving what is due them. But the fundamental question is this. If the global prices of cocoa is today from 10,000 to 4,100, and my brother Miracle and Co. make the position that President Mahama sell and pay the cocoa farmer as though prices had not fallen on the global market. Beyond the politics, I do not see where that position is coming from. One, it is not grounded in economics, regrettably. But as politicians as we are, there's always the benefit to play on the emotional keyboards of the people of this country. That's what the politician
as Vincent Ekoasefwa now also brings a different angle altogether to this thing. What do you say about it? The role of, issues of conflict of interest, and abuse of office by Ato Boateng, acting deputy CEO of Cocobod, in relation to the commercial operations of Atlas Commodities Limited, which is a private entity. He says OSP should investigate the angle of corruption, and then Shraj should also investigate the angle of the conflict of interest in the circumstances.
I think that where there is evidence of conflict, there's always the opportunity to investigate. And thankfully, the kind of constitutional democracy that we have allows people the opportunity to put up a defense when such allegations are made against them. And in this country, Shraj engagement relative to allegations of conflict, abuse of office is as old as this republic. I recall vividly those days, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo as lawyer for Kofi Kumsin. He used to go to Shraj a lot, the Chronicle, against almost all the appointees of Jerry Rawlings. So the issues of conflict of interest, and I remember vividly, may he so rest in peace, Dr. Mane Boama Okujeto Ablakwa, the famous abuse of office, conflict of interest matter they took to the Supreme Court. Jacob Echebilamti, may he so rest in peace. We have had records in this country where there had been issues where conflict of interest has, come up for discussion. I am pretty much aware of the issues involving Atlas and Ato Boateng. And I remember when Ato Boateng's appointment came up, it was a condition precedent for the appointment to be validated, that his interests in Atlas should completely be denounced. And that was done. our law, and that is where people make the mistake. In fact, you can have a situation where you can still be the, say, managing director. You have a company of which your interest is in. The matter will come out to the board. What is important is that at the beginning, a question is put. Those who have interest in this matter, disclose it. So that at the point where the decision is going to be made, you are not part of the decision-making process or a disclosed interest. So our laws do not forbid a situation where you say that once you have an interest, you cannot. The only thing is that you have to disclose the nature of your interest as by law established.
Atlas Limited says that for the avoidance of doubt, since the 2024-2025 cocoa season, Atlas Commodities has not received any seed fund from Cocobod. The company, therefore, could not have utilized seed fund meant for any other licensed cocoa buying companies, including Produce Buying Company Limited, when Cocobod did not disburse any seed fund.
Even more
or our operations are financed, or it says our operations are financed solely through our off-takers and banking partners, and these records can be verified.
Even more important, just to add to that, you will notice that the allegation of conflict is to link ATO to Produce Buying Company, PBC. PBC has its own management and board, distinct from ATO Boati. And so the issue of conflict does not even come up at all.
Okay.
But I can understand why anybody would want to put up this. I mean, when the cocoa politics came, I said, look, it is not a verifiable platform for the MPP on cocoa politics because their record is not stellar.
Okay, so
their record is dubious.
Atlas says that Ato Boateng has not used his position at Cocobod to advance the interests of Atlas Commodities Limited. He resigned as director and managing director of Atlas on the 20th of January 2025, and on the same date executed a deed of blind trust in respect of his shares. The relevant share transfer documentation was subsequently executed prior to his appointment as Deputy Chief Executive, Finance and Administration of Cocobod in February 2025.
And something, so that I will just I'll wrap up on this. My point is this. There's an opportunity that will be given to Ato, either at Straj or the OS.
He says he's ready and willing.
And this record will vindicate him. And I have no doubt at all about that.
Okay.
On the vest issue, today the record is showing that in Ivory Coast today, they have equally announced and taken the path of Ghana. The numbers that I'm seeing brings the price in Ivory Coast to almost 1,300 or 1,200 Ghana cedi per bag. Now, if this record is correct, what it means is that today, Ghana's cocoa and how much we are offering the Ghanaian cocoa farmer is relatively better than our nearest neighbor, the Ivory Coast. The risk is that because our price is better now, there's a risk of the Ivorians bringing their product into Ghana to sell. Look, the politics where my brother Miracle has suddenly taken the lead advocate for cocoa farmers.
Okay.
A thing that he's never done before.
So, thank you. It's okay.